Hi YouTube, it's a True Black Queen. Today is Sunday, August 29th, and I am officially um, banded. I am post-op. Today is day 2. Um, I had my surgery on Friday, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment. But I have been banded. Um, very excited about it. Might not show it right now. I'm still in some pain. But I am happy. My surgery, like I said, was on Friday. I had to be there at 10:15. The morning of my surgery, I was very emotional, uh, which I think was to be expected. We got to the surgery center at about 9:45. I was supposed to be there about 10:15, and so we got there. My partner, um, Evelyn, was with me, and we waited for um, maybe about an hour, hour and a half. They were running behind. I actually found out when I got back there and got um, put on the gown and the lovely hat and everything, that they had had some complications on a patient, which took a little longer, so that put all the other surgeries, um, made them start later. I found that out. But they got that fixed, and, he went on about his way, and then they proceeded. So we got back there, or once I got back there, and they took all my vitals. The nurse actually had trouble starting my IV because my veins are not the most cooperative veins, which I knew they weren't going to be very cooperative. They've never been cooperative. Whenever I go give blood, um, for whatever reason, it usually takes 2 to 3 people to come in there and try to find a vein. So I wasn't that surprised. But eventually they did um, find a vein, and um, Evelyn and I just kind of sat in there until they were ready. The anesthesiologist that I had was a really nice guy. He came in there when it was time for me to go back, and I became emotional again when it was time for Evelyn to leave. I think it was just all the emotions that I had built up. Um, I was nervous, a little scared, a little bit of excitement, and then when she had to leave, I had to, I was alone for the most part. But my anesthesiologist, he was very nice, so he kind of wheeled me back there, and he held my hand, and he told me that everything was going to be okay. And when I got back there to the operating room, um, he asked me to get to the operating table, and I did. When I got on the operating table, I was laying down, and he held my hand again, and that's the last thing I remember. I don't know when the hell he slipped me, whatever he slipped me, but I didn't know it, see it, anything. The next thing I remember was his voice waking me up, telling me that I had been banded and that I had done fine and everything was okay. And he was still holding my hand, so hell, I don't know what went on, but it was, it wasn't as, it wasn't as bad as I had made it up in my mind that it was going to be. Um, when I came out of the anesthesia, I had pain, obviously in my stomach, but it wasn't so terrible. It wasn't awful. It was just kind of painful. They kept me on the oxygen for a few minutes, and then she took it off. and she um, told me just, to breathe, and I did, and I laid there in the bed for a few minutes, and then she asked me if I was ready to go over to a chair because she said I had to sit up. So I did. I told her that I was. I didn't feel very nauseous. I only had like a little nausea when the oxygen mask first came off of my face. Um, I felt a little nausea, but after that, I really didn't have not much nausea. So I was able to sit up, and I was able to walk over to the chair where she wanted me to sit, and I sat there for, I guess, maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and I was blowing in this, which everyone that's been banded is, you know, aware of, and if you haven't been banded, you will become aware of it because you have to blow into this so that you don't get pneumonia. It opens your lungs. So she wanted me to continually blow into that, which I did. Wasn't that difficult. Uh, and I sat there for a while blowing into that and just kind of coming to because I was still kind of out of it. But for the most part, it wasn't as bad like I said, as I had made it up in my mind. She did say, I did ask her for some water, which she told me that I couldn't have any water until I did the barium swallow. So I was like, well, let's get this barium swallow going because my mouth was so dry, and I know I had to look a hot mess, but I was like, well, let's go ahead and get this barium swallow. So she walked me over to the guy to do the barium swallow. I did the X-ray, and when I came back and sat down, she was able to give me some water. And by this time, it was I do believe about 2:30 or so. I'm not sure. I didn't have my contacts in, so I couldn't see the clock. Um, and I hadn't had anything to drink since Thursday, so this little cup of water she gave me you know, was highly needed and wanted. So I drank the water and I sat there a little longer and blew in the little thing and she monitored my blood pressure, which was fine. And then she came over and asked me if I wanted to go home, and I told her yes, I wanted to go home. Uh, and she said okay, and I got dressed and I was able to leave. I was in pain, but it wasn't such um, unbearable pain. It was just like a steady pain, and basically just in the top portion of my stomach. Um, and then I came home. And when I came home, I did try to lay down because I thought that that would be best, uh, but it wasn't. So I laid down for maybe 5 or 7 minutes, and just laying down was just that hurt. So I quickly got the hell up. And my sister had called. Both my sisters had called to check on me to make sure that I was okay. And I got up and sat up, and I actually sat up for a while, but I'll get into that in my next video. I'm actually doing two today because I feel a little bit better, so I'm doing my surgery day and my post-op days 1 and 2. Um, but as far as the actual surgery day, it was It was okay. It was emotional. I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed, but it wasn't as bad as I had made it up in my mind that it would be. And at this point, I'm very glad that I did it. Very glad that I did go through with it. I'm very proud of myself, and I thank everyone that checked on me to make sure that I was doing okay. I really appreciate that. Um, but for the most part, my surgery day was a success. I was in pain, but I got my prescription filled, uh, and I'm currently, of course, still taking it. And as far as the surgery day, it wasn't that exciting, I guess. um, but, it wasn't an outpatient surgery center, so they don't keep you overnight. Um, we did get a picture of my actual band, and my surgeon did also say that I had a hernia, so he repaired that for me. And he gave me a lovely little picture for me to keep always. Just letting me know, I guess, that the band is in there and he did fix the hernia. So I appreciate him for that. But my surgeon was a nice guy. He did come out when it was complete and advised my partner that everything had gone well. Um, and that was good, so I appreciated that. And he did come before my procedure to ask me if I had any additional questions, but I really didn't have any questions because at that time I had read every single thing about the lap band. I could, give a seminar on it, so I really didn't have any questions about it. So I really just told him, I was nervous, which, he understood. Um, and we went from there. I'm very pleased with what he did. I don't know if you're supposed to send your surgeon like a gift basket or anything, but that's what I'm kind of leaning towards. Him and the anesthesiologist, because the anesthesiologist was, like I said, he was really kind to me, and I really appreciated that. Um, but as far as right now, I'm good. I'm banded. I'm officially on the loser's bench. Uh, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited about starting this phase, starting this part. Exciting, excited about everything that's to come. But for right now, that is it. I guess stay tuned. So like I said, I have another video about post-op dates, or day 1 and 2. Thanks. Bye.